Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I've been the Bitcoin not Miami, but Bitcoin Nashville thing is going on. So I've been watching some of these Michael Saylor crazy clips and all this stuff, and just watching the ideologues, you know, that most of them probably bought Bitcoin early, and so that's their real hidden reasoning for acting like this is the only thing. But they all know the technology of it is not going to change finance. All it is a store of value. And I'm sitting here watching, I'm like, okay, well, I'll cover some of this stuff, but I'm like just shaking my head. Now, before we get going, I wanted to tell you, link to Chime is a new private equity that they just added on the platform. Chime's revolutionizing the banking industry by offering advanced, feeless digital banking, thereby challenging the outdated, costly practices of conventional banking. Impressive 22.3 million users. And then it's swiftly bridging the gap between industry giants such as Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, simply providing a superior contemporary banking solution. Chime, with its consistent upswing in customer growth and its latest acquisition of the enterprise tech company Salt Labs, is advancing steadfastly towards much anticipated 2025 IPO. Link2 is my sponsor. They do have Chime on the platform, linqto.com. Go check it out. It's for accredited investors. Now, check this out from Crypto Insight UK. For those who think I'm bearish, XRP, this was the whole section from the newsletter surrounding this correction. Is XRP leading altcoin season? As most of you know, XRP has been leading the charge for alts. Long may this continue. This is what I'm thinking may happen for XRP price action. The time frame I'm unsure on, but the structure could look something like the above. Following this, so I think he was calling for like a little bit of a correction, which is what we're kind of doing now. Then he says, down here he goes, follow this. I think we see explosive price action for XRP. In fact, I'm going to go out there and say it. I think XRP will be or will have been above $1 within 60 days, maybe as high as $2 to $3 in this time. Once we hit these levels, anything can happen. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. I think we've got end of lawsuit coming. We've got the potential XRP ETF, maybe BlackRock, and real USD, which I think will be the biggest one. And remember, Brad Garlinghouse has been very bullish about XRP for this year. All right, America is headed for bankruptcy. This is a great clip right here by Peter St. Onge, I think. Don't know if I'm butchering his name.
Last month, interest on the national debt ate up 76% of income tax, meaning 3 out of every $4 you currently give the IRS are actually going to China or Wall Street. The numbers come from my based colleague, EJ Antoni, who sources directly from the Office of Management and Budget. They report that for the month of June, the U.S. government collected $185 billion in individual income taxes, and it spent $140 billion on debt interest. So 3 out of every $4 straight out the back door. Elon Musk noticed, adding, quote, I'm glad 76% of the income tax I pay goes directly to important things like interest on past government incompetence. On an annual basis, that's up 8 points in a single year. And if it keeps up, the federal government will be paying more in debt interest than it collects in income tax in, about 6 years and 9 months. What's driving all this is that income taxes are actually down, which normally only happens in a recession, while the cost to service the national debt has exploded by 33% in a single year, thanks to trillion-dollar deficits and rising debt costs. Put them together, in the past 12 months, Washington paid $868 billion in interest alone, on track to hit $1,140 billion in the coming year. For perspective, in George W.'s first year, the entire federal deficit was $158 billion. Now we're paying 5 times that in debt interest alone, and next year we'll be paying 7 times. For even worse perspective, if the federal government actually tried to live within its means, it would have to cut nearly $2 trillion in annual spending, which would mean a 50% cut to everything outside Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid.
I think you get the picture, and this will drive it home too.
In order to secure buyers of U.S. debt, you have to keep the rate somewhat high in order to make that debt favorable. And it's against this backdrop, this catch-22, that we bring in the final piece of the puzzle. And I'll talk about how they all tie together. U.S. banks. Banks across the country are sitting on a ticking time bomb of unrealized losses in commercial real estate and in U.S. Treasury holdings. These assets have lost significant value compared to their purchase price, thanks in large part to higher interest rates. But banks have held on to them, hoping that rates will come down and in the future they'll be able to sell them for a higher price, which is fine in theory, except what happens when a bank is forced to sell at a loss, when they have to sell and they can't hold out until the prices rise again? What happens then?
I'll tell you what potentially happens. Maybe real USD is used to buy U.S. treasuries at that point. How about that? Okay, we've got the VanEck CEO, who is a mega Bitcoin maxi ideologue. Listen to this.
Morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know VanEck, definitely Bitcoin, I would say, is in my blood. And I say that because VanEck was founded in 1955, but we also started the first gold mutual fund in the United States in 1968 before the big inflationary run-up of the 70s. And it was illegal for Americans to hold gold bullion at the time. Plus, and I haven't said this before, but my mom is German, and she was actually a refugee. She had to flee the communist secret police who were trying to arrest my grandfather. So I get why Bitcoin, I get why freedom.
Folks, I agree philosophically with everything these Bitcoiners are saying here. I just don't agree that Bitcoin is the technology that makes this happen. And they lie to you and tell you that only Bitcoin has this scarcity. So does XRP, but it's a better technology. Dirty little secret, Tom. I mean, it's like they try to pretend like somehow Bitcoin has this thing that nothing else has. The mining is a weakness, not a strength. All right. Then he says this.
I mean, this crowd might not like this, but the way I look about Bitcoin is it's sort of like evolving and growing up, right? So maybe it's a teenager now. It's not fully formed because so many investor classes haven't really joined. I think the toughest allocation question I have, and I know a lot of individuals think about this as well, is why should I be selling Bitcoin? If I believe the super bull case, why am I constantly selling into this bull market? I mean, we just came out with research that talked about a price close to $3 million a coin in the scenario where it's adopted as a reserve asset globally. Now, that's very speculative, and that would be extreme adoption, but that's where professional investors like us in our day jobs say, oh no, you've got to do mean variance optimization, you can't hold too much. And everyone I meet at Bitcoin conferences owns way more in their own portfolio. And I always say, wait a minute, I always want to tell people what I'm doing personally because they should know, right?
Well, what are you doing personally?
I'm like way over 30%.
Okay. Wow.
All right.
Okay. Now, check this out. Eleanor Terrett, she said that according to app Breadcrumbs app, I don't even know what that is, Ripple's general counsel, Stuart Alderati, donated $300,000 in XRP to real Donald Trump. I'm with Stuart Alderati. I'll ride with Stuart Alderati any day of the week. Check this out. Looks like Ripple and a lot of people are getting behind.
Also, remember, crypto has deep ties with the sharp swing in Silicon Valley, with all those elites putting their money behind Trump. The founders of crypto-focused VC firm A16Z pledging a significant amount of money to him. The Winklevoss twins actually maxed out how much they can give to Trump under election laws. And that's not even mentioning the crypto super PACs. You've got Fairshake, which is looking to elect crypto-friendly candidates up and down the ballot. It's raised more than $200 million, most of which can be traced back to a handful of companies, including Coinbase, Ripple, and Andreessen Horowitz. And the person planning this conference here in Nashville just last month in Mar-a-Lago promised to raise another $100 million for Trump. And I did reach out to him to ask how much they've raised of that $100 million, and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay, and then we have Marcus Enfanger from Ripple is commenting on his interview with Tony from Thinking Crypto we covered the other day. My first and hopefully not last time chatting with Thinking Crypto on how the XRP ledger is primed for institutional adoption with real-world asset tokenization through ArchX, the upcoming Ripple USD stablecoin, and much more. Check it out. So, all right, now, folks, this whole thing is unraveling, and we're in DAIXRP.com. We're going to talk about it because we can't talk about it out here. But this is getting really spooky, what's going on in this country, and we're going to show you at some point you can't suspend your common sense any longer. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. This thing is getting out of hand now, deservedly so. Here we go.